and welcome to Galata Plus. This edition of Questions and Answers, that is Q&A, is about Beast, and Kiran S asks, has it become super hard to handle a huge star and come up with a great commercial entertainer? Why do most superstar films, though made by promising directors, end up being an average good watch and not a great watch? What are the directors finding hard to crack this? I think the main problem with this is that they're not given enough time to develop a script, right? The star says, I have this date available, and then the director says, I have this one line available, but for that one line to actually become a script, it takes a long time. You know, even if you're talking about like a short, people who write really fast, like Nelson says, he completes a script in 3 months, you know, it takes that much time. But then there is always a clash between the dates of a star, and most big star movies are actually written on the sets, like the olden days, you know, even though today we keep talking about things like bound script and all that kind of stuff, most of these big star movies are written on the sets. That's why most of these directors are not able to do justice, because the way they take time with the other movies, they're not able to take the same amount of time with these movies, and they usually end up compromised. But that said, I must still say that there are examples like A.R. Murugadas who cracked Tupaki. So it's also a question of like how ready you are. I guess it's like, you know, an alignment of planets or whatever it is, because it's not that, you know, great or big directors and big stars have never made entertaining movies. You know, Venkat Prabhu did Mangata at a time when experimenting with roles was not really all that frequent. Paranjit made the movies with Rajinikanth, Kabali and Kala. Whether you like the movies or not, it's not the same thing. Whether you like Mangata, whether you like Kabali, whether you like Kala, whether you liked Tupaki, all these things don't matter, but at least there was an attempt to marry a good script, a solid, you know, message or whatever it is with a big star, and that's not happened in Beast. Cine Travel Tales asks, why a large section is trolling Nelson and questioning his filmmaking when one film goes down and doing character assassination? Is it right? No, it is absolutely not right at all. I mean, this is a man who's done Kolama Kokila, he's done a Doctor, and you guys enjoyed all of that and praised it, and suddenly he does one movie like off, and you know, like everybody gets a movie off. Yeah, you shouldn't have to praise it just because it's Nelson, but at the same time there's no need to do this kind of character assassination or trolls or memes or whatever it is. But that's exactly how social media works today. You know, people forget everything that you did good before. It's all become tunnel vision about this particular product or this particular review or this particular whatever it is, and they don't see the other stuff that's happened before or after. And I think a lot of people also get their kicks from, you know, trolling and memeing. So, you know, a combination of all this happened to just hit Nelson hard, and I feel sorry for the guy. But, you know, it's part and parcel of being, you know, the filmmaker in this age of social media. You can't help it. Cyborg Munivar asks, which dialogue made you cringe the most? For me, it was a North Indian wedding, figurla nachinu irukum. Actually, strangely, nothing really remained, you know, in mind. None of the dialogues, you know, Nelson has this interplay of dialogues which kind of go from character to character and end up in a punchline or end up in something that wasn't happening here at all. It was very, I mean, of course, yes, that psychiatrist was cringe for many reasons. Like, I hated that scene also where Pooja is like, you know, supposed to be jealous of this girl who's doing her IPS because she's offering an electrolyte, and then Vijay is kind of, I mean, what a silly scene. I mean, what, you haven't even defined any of these things properly. You know, there is one section that is saying that, okay, this is all being deliberately done to show how idiotic female roles are in our film. So this is Nelson's, you know, he's deliberately doing an idiotic scene to show how idiotic scenes are in these movies. So it's a kind of a meta thing. I don't think it's a meta thing. I just think they just did whatever they wanted to do and tried to get away with it. So a lot of dialogues didn't work for me, and yeah, I mean, actually none of the dialogues work for me. So Sriram Venkateshan asks, what makes people suspend logic in movies like RRR and KGF but not in movies like Beast or Valimai? Is a spectacle needed to win over logic? Is it marketing? Is it inherent bias or high expectation from Vijay or Ajit? I'll tell you the simple reason. It's because in RRR and in KGF, you see the effort. You see the effort to make something different. You see the effort to make each scene different. You see the hard work that's gone, and you see the actor's effort. You see the technician's effort. Here you just see like almost everybody as they are like as if they're just singing Jolly or Gymkhana on set every day and not actually making a movie. That's why the difference comes, because it's not that when the writing is so substandard and when everything else doesn't work at all, you're kind of, there's nothing left to respect. Like supposing a movie bombs, right? But you're kind of saying, okay, at least they tried to do something and it didn't work, but you know, they tried. the effort went into it, because especially in movie making, the end result is always something that is not easy to predict. So, but at least there'll be signs along the way that, okay, this is the route that they tried to go, this is what they tried to do. Here that whole thing exploded when in the Rajit movie you had that really bad family tragedy. I mean, it was written like a mega serial. And in this Beast, you have, like for example, this doctor saying North Indian Kalanathik Pola, there'll be lots of figures and stuff like that. It doesn't work as comedy for me. This is the man that Vijay is supposed to be seeing in order to cure his PTSD, and this man is making a joke like that. Now, Nelson might have made this calculation that, okay, we made fun of or fun using the Saranya character in Kolamavu Kokila. She had cancer, and we made fun of a kidnapped girl in Doctor. That is, we made fun of people around her, and instead of treating it like a serious, kidnap and rescue mission, we had a lot of fun along the way. So why not treat this? But then the fun has to come from the right quarters. Even if you want to write fun stuff, you have to take the material seriously and then write fun stuff. Like the material itself, if you're looking at it as too casual, then you're not building anything on top of it. The Daybreak FM asks, I understand that writing didn't provide a challenging antagonist nor maintain tension outside the exhilarating action, but can you mention some positive attributes like how the opening 20 minutes might be the greatest prologue to any Tamil film made in a while? Yeah, that I completely agree with, and probably that added to my disappointment with the movie, because you have such a great opening stretch. Vijay's intro is so charmingly low-key. That fight sequence is shot really well. I mean, it's really the best part of the movie. And then after the 15 minutes, he lands up at the psychiatrist's office and everything goes for a toss. So yeah, it's actually one of the best opening stretches in a long time. Yeah. Sai Krish asks, what did Beast not have that Doctor had according to you? For example, in my opinion, Beast didn't have a solid scene to remember as a whole, like the Doctor Metro fight or the interval block with God bless you dialogue. See, for me, Beast did not have the integrity that Doctor had. That is the basic thing. It's like there was no script. There was no sense of a script. Now, when I'm saying script, everybody has a different way of handling scripts. Some people might just jot it down as, I'm not saying this is the Hollywood way, is the only way to write a script. A brown script is the only way to write a script. I'm not saying that. But there was no sense of a vision. That's more like it. Whereas Doctor had a very clear vision. This is the character, he's going to be this serious guy, I'm going to surround him with all these funny characters. This is, in Kolamavu Kokila, this is the character, she falls into a problem and I'm going to surround her with the comedy while she herself is not doing much of the comedy. Whereas here, you have, this is the guy, he's going to save the day, but you're confused whether to treat it like an action movie or like a comedy kind of film. And the lack of vision, I'm telling, from scenes like, in a mall you have so many stores. Don't you think that the terrorists would have to go through many stores and fish out people who are hiding under maybe the tables or something like that? Because it's like everybody just neatly assembled in one place near the Christmas tree, and then the terrorist shot and they all sat down like pupils before a maths teacher, and that's how they spent the rest of the movie. I mean, it is so, there is no vision, there is no effort to do anything at all, and that is where it differs so much from Doctor. Divya Sri asks, no one, even the leader of the group, seems to be motivated to do anything. Look, either you guys do terrible stuff and make us hate you, or become goofy idiots and make us laugh. Had they taken care of this issue, would it have solved some of the issues? You don't get a sense of the terrorists being serious stuff at all, because see, first of all, we know that in a big hero movie, this is going to happen. But again, look at RRR, right? It's like, I'm not comparing Rajamouli to Nelson because their sensibilities are very different. But, one of them is imprisoned. One of them ends up with another kind of trouble. You always have to have a dip in the hero's arc in order for him to rise again. So that we cheer for his rise, his eventual rise, So the dip in the Ram Charan's character is that he is a stooge. He's pretending to be, like part of the British, even though he's Indian. And that's the dip in his character. And then he betrays his best friend. And then he has to redeem himself. So there is a clean arc there. Here, Vijay is like, he has his dip right at the beginning when his friends betray him and he calls. But then he rises just like that. There is no, I'm mourning this, there is no sense of that. Immediately he goes to a North Indian wedding, immediately there's that Arabic kuttu, immediately he goes and slaps some dad for playing with his child by throwing her up and down. But apart from that, there doesn't seem to be any real manifestation of this supposed trauma that he's going to, again, you could make the case that this is Nelson kind of, saying that, okay, adala serious no need to take all those things seriously, just go on with the show. But then, you're really left so confused. Is this some supposed meta movie where everything is like meant to be taken lightly? Or then why are you showing us a little girl die, and why are you making it so violent, in the sense of, there's so much of violence here that is so unsuitable for little kids. So I'm like, why are you doing that? I don't know. It's very hard to get a grip on how to watch the film, unless you're totally one of those people who's like, I'm just going to eat my popcorn and watch my favorite hero and I don't care about anything else. In that case, it's fine. But if you take movies even a little bit seriously, if you're a cinephile, you are going to have problems with a movie like Beast. Like, even the choice of the mall may be some kind of joke on Nelson's part, because, we've heard of the Taj attacks and, like the metro attacks and all that. And, usually terrorists go after like really, really big targets, iconic targets, to kind of get their message across and hold people hostage there. And here it's a shopping mall. Maybe even that is some Nelson's way of saying, look how, like I'm subverting that or something like that. But it's very hard to get a sense of anything that is intentional. So the people who buy that theory probably are going to enjoy the movie better than those of us who are simply not able to make sense of the movie at all. Raghu Gautam says, where do you see Tamil cinema in the next 5 years as compared to other languages? Will it revive itself from the recent downfall? If yes, what will trigger the revival? I don't know if you mean Tamil mainstream cinema or commercial cinema, or just Tamil cinema in general, but I think Tamil cinema is doing fairly well. No, we had Manadu last year, we had Doctor last year. This year has been kind of dry, but it comes and goes. I mean, it's like we had Master last year. I mean, quite a bit of it worked. We had Karnan last year. I mean, it's impossible for every movie to be great, but I think what we are doing right now is because RRR and KGF are such huge successes, we are also kind of comparing that and saying, okay, there's nothing like that in Tamil cinema right now. Yes, there is nothing that's matching that level of success currently, but it's also like, it's not like everything that Telugu cinema makes is becoming a hit, or everything that Kannada cinema makes is becoming a hit. It's just like, you have two big phenomena that's happening, and that's making us do this comparison. And I don't think Tamil cinema is in any serious kind of trouble. But that said, the products may keep coming out, but it's the biggest problem facing Tamil cinema is the fact that the budgets are way out of control and there is no one monitoring this. Imagine this, we are in a state where there is this strange kind of welfare mechanism for capping the price of tickets, supposedly so that they are affordable to everybody. You're capping the price on theaters selling tickets at a particular price and saying that you cannot sell it for more than 120 or 150 or whatever it is. You're capping that, but there is no cap on actors' salaries. So either cap everything or cap nothing. Let theaters charge whatever they want. So the industry is in trouble because you don't have a match between what movies cost and what theaters are allowed to get back through the capping of ticket prices. Even though the first day first show of Beast was sold at 2,000, whatever it is, but that will happen only for one show or two shows. The rest of the time, they're still looking at a very, very low amount and they have high amounts to recover, and that's the real problem. Meghana Bhaskar asks, is Beast the official signal pointing towards the end of Star Vehicle films? It's obvious that audiences' bar has been raised over the past few years, that they aren't willing to accept bad films just based on an actor's previous work or fan base. I don't think so. I think this will keep going on and on. People will forget easily. It'll be another 6 months or 8 months or a year before the next Vijay or Ajit film comes. By then, Valimai would have been forgotten, and then people will start tweeting about the new film. All the excitement and the hype will happen again, and it'll keep growing and growing till the movie comes. And then if it's good, people will celebrate it. If it's bad, then trolling will happen, and then we'll get similar questions saying, "Oh my God, why don't we get good stars making good films with good directors and all that kind of stuff?" I think this cycle is going to keep going on, and there's no stopping that. Unikrishnan Jr. asks, I believe the mall's setting could have been utilized in more novel ways, both for comedy as well as action. Your thoughts? Absolutely. I mean, you have a fight in a corridor, which is the most generic place you can have a fight. I mean, there's nothing actually that uses the mall as something that is a place filled with stores and something that has a particular kind of lighting and something that is built a certain way structurally. Whereas look at the first fight, I mean, how beautifully they use the location and the space and kind of choreograph things around it. Whereas everything around the mall is so generic, you have no sense of where the villain is sitting, where somebody else is sitting, and you have these cliched borrowed from Hollywood stuff like, there's a ventilator shaft and everyone's crawling through it and going somewhere. And the terrorists don't even seem to be in coordination with each other about where someone is. It's like somebody's just walking on this floor of the mall, somebody's walking on that floor of the mall. It was hard to get any kind of sense of any, like the mall being used in any significant way. It could have been any building for that matter. Apin Pavitran asks, personally, I felt the film slipped away from the writing itself. There was something missing all the way along. But one thing that is interesting is that the film started off like a non-Vijay film, like you discussed in the review. The part where Vijay goes to have therapy session was totally new in a Vijay film, but at the end of the day, maybe beginning to see more Vijay films of a pattern, or rather off pattern, because here 2 songs, no intro song, even one is absolutely at the end of the movie. Felt like he's coming out of that star kind of films. If the writing was top notch, you'd have got a different Vijay films. See, I understand your point, and these points are kind of positive things that are leading towards things. But today you find very few films with more than 2 songs or like anything. How many films have you seen where there are multiple songs? If there are songs, they're played in the background. So you kind of, people have lost interest in seeing songs because they're already seeing it so much on YouTube and stuff like that. So seeing songs on the big screen, you can maximum accommodate 1 or 2. So that is what this movie is also all about. But also it's about intent and execution, right? You may intend to do all these things with a Vijay movie saying, yes, I'm going to give him PTSD, I'm going to do all that. But how are you using it? Imagine that there is a child among the hostages, it's like that trigger something in Vijay. You're not using anything. I'm like, how much dramatic possibility that you're just squandering. Because even in Doctor, even in the midst of all that, comedy, there was dramatic tension. It's not like the movie was just going along, like everybody was just laughing all along. There was comedy, yes, but on a parallel track, there was drama and a very clear, eye on what the intent is. It's like the intent was this, and the comedy kind of went on a parallel track. But here you don't even know what the intent is. The intent is just to basically showcase Vijay as this superhero kind of guy. So the PTSD, everything, the writing, it becomes redundant because that has caused no effect on him at all. He just remains as invincible and as much of a beast as ever. Movie Insight asks, do you think Nelson can use the same character, like the lead never smiles and says dark humor and makes the other laugh, gonna work again, or should he start doing something else? It depends on movie to movie. See, any director, if that is his or her strength, can do any number of movies with the same thing. A classic example from the West is Hitchcock. He always did a suspense movie with many of them being about an innocent man on the run, but he always found variations on how to do this. Right after Frenzy, his last film, where this guy is doing the murders but this guy is the suspect. Similarly here you had Visu. His strength was this family drama where multiple family things would happen, whatever we see in mega serials now. But that used to be his strength. And in the 80s alone, he must have made about 10 to 12 movies based on the same theme, and many of them became hits. So it's not about whether a style will work or not. It's how that style is executed in that particular movie and how that particular director does it. It's all individual. It's not that people are going to tire of the style. They're going to tire of the way in which it is done if it is not done well, is my very strong contention. Because there are many people who go to, like you go to a Quentin Tarantino movie, you know exactly what the style is. But if Nelson thinks that like having the central character as like a straight character and having all the comedy around him or her is going to be like a kind of a thing, then he'll have to work much harder on his scripts, because otherwise people are just going to say, this is just like Kolama Kokila, this is just like Doctor. Night Fury says, Vijay is clearly being a director's actor. In some films we can even see his body language and matches the directors Atlee in Theri and Murugadas in Katti. Even Lokesh was very vocal that Vijay completely accepts the director's cut. Is it responsibility of the directors? I would actually differ a little on this. I think an actor should bring something to the movie. Yes, film is ultimately a director's medium. The most important person in the movie is the director, the writer, the editor. Finally, these people are at the top of the food chain when it comes to the behind the scenes of the movie. Just like the actor and the actress are, and maybe like a famous comedian or whoever it is, are at the top of the food chain in terms of who's on the screen. But a director should have, or an actor should have, powerful arguments with the director about, why am I doing this in the scene? Why am I not doing that in that scene? How do you want me to play this scene? Is this a serious scene or is it not? If he's just doing anything that the director says, then there is no one questioning the director, because then you're assuming that everything that the director does is right. And that's not always the best approach, because an actor should be able to fight with their director and say, like okay, why I don't agree with this scene. This is happening here. This guy just had PTSD and now you're making a summer figure joke. That's not working for me, because the audience will feel like I'm being, making some cheap jokes. So can we change this line to maybe make the doctor niece have a wedding and just accidentally go to the wedding? Okay, I'll accept Arabic Kuttu because you're saying you want an entertaining movie, but at least let's skip the cheapness part. An actor should do those things. Like, otherwise you're blindly following the director's intentions. That means you really don't care about the movie and you've just like taken the money and gone home. And I don't know if that's the best way to make a movie, because not every director, especially people working under such pressure about making a star movie, are going to be like at the top of their game every second. And I think actors need to begin to start questioning their directors, just like they do in Bollywood and just like they do in Hollywood and all other industries. And the last question comes from a debut journey. He asks, whose mistake is this? Is it a director's fault or an actor's fault? Also heard that the budget for Beast is almost twice that of KGF 2. What is your thought on that? I think it's everybody's fault, because the actor, if you're going to listen to a one line and accept a movie, then you have to ensure that that one line is becoming a proper script. Similarly, the director, he has his one line. He has to ensure that the script is measuring up to not just this film's expectations, but also his own reputation from the earlier films that he's done. So it's like, I'm still saying that there is a chance that the film may not work, but at least work has gone into the movie, and I think that is not evident in Beast. So I would say people all around in Beast kind of are responsible for whatever it is today. Despite this, some people seem to like it. Some people are saying it's funny, you shouldn't take it so seriously. But I think all cinema should be taken seriously, in the sense that while watching it, even if it is comedy, there is a way that you can step back after the movie and say, look how intelligently the comedy was structured. Look how this scene led to this scene. And then they took off from the scene and then they did this scene. Because that is how, you analyze a film, and you kind of see how much the director has contributed to the film and how much the actor has contributed to the film and other things. Of course, if you're not interested in cinema at all and you're just like interested in watching a movie and saying, I'm just having some popcorn and just like, if I'm bored, I'm going to look at my smartphone, then that's fine too. Like, nobody can say thing. Even with Beast, I'm not saying that, there are many people who came and say it wasn't as bad as you said it was and all that. Sure, maybe you liked it. Or maybe the first day reviews gave such a low expectation of the movie that later people started saying, well, the film is not that bad. That can happen. But if you are a cinephile, or if you take movie seriously or movie analysis seriously, like I do, then it's very important to take comedy also very seriously, because, it's like the end result should be comedy, but the writing itself or the making itself or the acting itself or the movie itself cannot be a comedy. It cannot be a wrong kind of comedy saying, look how everything just blew up in everybody's face. So that's it with this question and answers for Beast. Do stay tuned for more episodes and keep watching Galata Plus.